So this is Alan Fenstermaker here on Top Rope TV. I'm here with Gabby Ortiz. How are you doing, Gabby?
Oh, I'm good today. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Now, how was your match tonight?
It was a tough fought battle, but I came out on top. You know, yeah.
Yeah, it must be an exciting time to be in the wrestling business now, like with the women's division booming. Do you have any inspirations when you become a pro wrestler?
Yeah, so I really always looked at AJ Lee's matches because we're like the same size. So like I take a lot of like what she did and I apply it because it was very effective when she was in WWE. So I feel like, because we have similar body types that I'll be able to use her stuff. And I always, of course, I loved Lita and Trish Stratus, all those girls from the Attitude Era that basically paved the way for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a specific favorite time period in wrestling?
I think right now is where it's at. I think when we're going to look back in about 10, 15 years, we're going to look at this time in pro wrestling as the best, especially for the indies. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Now, what kind of training in particular did you do?
Yeah, so I trained at the world-famous Monster Factory in Paulsboro, New Jersey, and now I currently train with Cheeseburger from ROH at the Worldwide Dojo in Bristol, PA.
Okay. Yeah. Now, what's it like training with ROH?
You're learning from the best of the best, so that's how it is. It's just, you're always learning something. Even when you think you got something, there's always something more to learn, so that's, yeah.
Yeah, do you have any highlights of your career so far?
Oh my God, yeah. So just today is the 2-year anniversary of when I debuted at Kirk and Hall in Japan, and I won my debut there. So that was 2 years today. Yeah, it's probably the biggest highlight. Yeah.
Now, what was that like wrestling in Japan?
It was scary as hell. It was very scary because I was very, very new. I still consider myself pretty new, but I was particularly new when I went to Japan. So it was a great experience overall. I look back on it very fondly.
Okay. Now, do you have anything you'd like to plug or add at all or anything?
Well, at the moment, you can just follow me on all my social medias. I am at GABBITY on Twitter and Instagram, and you can find me at Gabby Ortiz on Facebook.
Awesome. Now, thanks again for doing the interview.
Thank you.
This is Alan Fenstermaker here with Pro Wrestling Archives. I'm here with
Salina De La Renta. I got you.
Okay. Now, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good, pretty good. How are you?
Pretty good. Now, it's an exciting week with WrestleMania coming up, the first ever women's main event. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that it was about time. That is awesome. I believe in the women's revolution. I think it's awesome, and I get to be a part of it, so.
Okay. Now, do you have any inspirations that made you want to become a professional wrestler?
Well, definitely. The first time I heard of wrestling was through the show Total Divas. Definitely Nikki Bella and Brie Bella were my main inspiration because even though they're not fully Latinas, they were part Latinas, and I felt identified when I saw them, and thought maybe I should check out their sport, and I fell in love with it.
Okay. Awesome. Now, what are some of the highlights of your career?
Well, I started wrestling at local shows in Florida, and I started building a little name for myself. I was discovered by Major League Wrestling. I suffered an injury when I was in the independent scene, so I cannot wrestle, and I was picked for a manager role, and I think it blew up a little. So I would say those.
Do you have any goals that you'd like to accomplish within the next year?
Within the next year? I certainly would love to maybe go to any continent outside of the United States, anywhere. I have been to Mexico, but I haven't really been to Germany. I've seen people go to Canada for wrestling, the United Kingdom. Yeah. I would love to visit somewhere outside the U.S.
That'd be cool. Now, can you talk about your match tonight?
I was part of 4 matches. I was supposed to be in 5, but then there's a little problem with my outfits because I have to keep changing for a week. You know how it works when it's TV. I manage El Hijo de LA Park. I manage Ricky Martinez. I usually manage Loki, but not tonight. And I'm going to be managing LA Park during the main event and at the Battle Riot.
Awesome. I guess that's about it. Do you have anything you'd like to talk about at all or anything you'd like to plug?
Well, my social media, if anybody wants to follow me, my name is Salina De La Renta. That's SALINADELARENTA. And
I'm here with Georgia, the British Bulldog's daughter. How are you doing today, Georgia?
I'm very good. I'm very cold here, but I'm very good, thank you.
Now, you came all the way up here from Tampa, Florida, too. How do you feel about that?
temperature shocked. I think my my skin's gotten thinner or something. But yeah, I'm definitely not used to this cold weather. But I'm really liking it here in Philadelphia, and I'm at the original ECW arena, which is super cool. And I'm seeing my brother Harry Smith and my cousin Teddy Hart and Brian Pillman Jr. wrestle tonight, which I'm really looking forward to. So all around excited.
Okay, now can you tell me what was it like growing up with the British Bulldog, anyways?
It was pretty cool. I had a really awesome childhood. Yeah, lots of trips to wrestling shows. Kids didn't believe that my dad was the British Bulldog until he would pull up in the car and pick me up, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, that's your dad!" But as well, I didn't really get to see my dad that much. So there was some really good highs and some lows with it. But overall, I couldn't have picked a better dad.
Okay, now, what are you doing in the wrestling business?
Honestly, I work at iHeartMedia in Tampa, Florida. I work at 933 FLZ, so I do a lot of media work. I do social media, special events. I do midday programming, and I do on-air talent work. So I do that, but I love to do on-screen interviews and be on screen ultimately. So MLW invited me, and Be in Sport invited me here tonight to do some on-camera things. So I jumped at that opportunity to do that, and it's been really cool so far.
Awesome. Now, is there anything else you'd like to talk about at all? Any experience you had growing up? I know you're close to Brian Pillman Jr. and do you know Brian Pillman Sr. at all too? Or?
Yeah, I did. I met Brian Pillman Sr. The last time I saw Brian Pillman Sr. was after the In Your House show in 1997. Do you remember the Calgary one?
Yeah, I remember that one.
You just remember? Yeah, you might remember that.
Yeah, I remember that.
So the last time I saw Brian Pillman Sr. was we went to my grandpa's house, the Hart House, after the show, and he was holding a cat. Coincidentally, Ted's got a cat here tonight, so it's like full circle. But yeah, he was holding one of my grandpa's cats, and that was the last time I saw Brian Pillman, was at my grandpa's kitchen. And I just met Brian Pillman Jr. today. Actually, we were on the same flight from Atlanta. I had a stop over in Atlanta, so we met. And it's just like we've always known each other. It's crazy. Let me see. Anything else you want to know?
I don't know. Just did you ever get to go backstage at all at any wrestling events with WWE, WWF back then?
Yep. All the time. Yep. Yeah. I was pretty much more backstage than I was in the audience. So. Yeah, it was really fun though. The headbangers would always play with me and my cousins and my brother, and I loved Shawn Michaels when I was little, and I loved bugging him. And I really liked Sunny when I was little. Goldust I really liked. So yeah, just a bunch of different characters in my life. And let me see, anything else?
Now, did you ever meet the McMahon family, like Vince McMahon, Shane, Stephanie, Linda?
Yep, I've met them all numerous times. Yep. I haven't seen Vince in a few years, neither have Stephanie, but yeah, if I were to tell them, they'd know right away who I am, and I kind of look a little bit like Davey. Okay. So they know me, but yeah, they're good people. They're good people.
Okay. Now, what was it like being backstage at a WWF event too?
It was fun. It was really fun. Catering was fun. Sometimes it may have gotten a little bit boring. I remember one WrestleMania. Do you remember when my dad and Lex Luger, they had to do some thing with Jonathan Taylor Thomas? Do you remember that it was at a WrestleMania?
I think I remember that. Yeah.
But I remember they filmed that for hours, and I remember I was sitting on a concrete wall, and I literally fell asleep, and it was so cold, and Undertaker came up with he had this leather jacket and put it on me because I think he saw I was cold and asleep. And next thing I knew, it was the interview was over, and then we had there was the Slammies after that, and I fell asleep at the Slammies when I was 8 years old. But yeah, my mom kept us occupied, but yeah, it was super fun. If I think of anything else, I'll let you know.
Okay, now you said you saw the Undertaker backstage and got to know him. What kind of person is he like, anyways?
Very quiet, very super quiet, but really really nice. Yeah, he's very much I don't know if it's like on his terms with things, but like I know he can be like a bit funny when people ask him for like pictures and autographs and stuff, but he's always been nice to me. He's always been fine with me, but I've just heard some things, but I think he just kind of like just likes to keep to himself.
Okay. That's cool. Well, I think that's about it. Do you have anything you'd like to plug at all, or?
Watch MLW. If you've enjoyed seeing me, you'll see me on here tonight.
Awesome. Thanks for the interview. Yo, this is Alan Fenstermaker here with Pro Wrestling Archives. I'm here with Melina. How are you doing today, Melina?
I'm doing great.
Okay. Now, could you tell the fans right here, like, what made you decide you wanted to get into the wrestling business?
Oh my goodness. Well, I always loved wrestling, but the thing is I never thought I could actually do it, so it wasn't something I planned to. So I just I kind of fell into it. So I always watched it, but the plan was to be like in the medical field. And one thing led to another. I wanted to do fitness stuff. And my friend at the gym, he said, why don't you go to my school? I was like, you could do training for fitness competitions, but you could go do it at my wrestling school. I'm like, what? I could do it? I see on TV? He's like, yeah, just come to my school. Okay. Started doing it, and I did it as a hobby, did it for training, for conditioning, and got scouted. And I was like, oh my, I could really do this? And like, yeah. So I just kept going to school, kept doing stuff, and one thing led to another. Right place, right time, and got a contract.
Awesome. Now, what promotions have you worked for in your time in the business?
Oh my goodness, there's so many that I can't remember all of them. Definitely SWE, MCW, trying to think BCW in Melbourne, Go Wrestling, Sydney, just different places. I just came back from Germany, so like there's just different places that I go to. There's so many, but I just get happy no matter where I go.
Yeah, well, what are some of the highlights of your career?
Highlights of my career? Well, of course I'm going to say WWE style, because never thinking that I could ever become a wrestler. Like, that was just so unreal to me that I could actually do this. I treasure every single moment of that. But to be able to be a part of a WrestleMania, that's like, because that's a big deal. Like, growing up, you think, like, seeing that from home, like, you don't think that you can actually be a part of that, and then once you are, blew my mind completely. And then Eddie Guerrero, Ric Flair, Mick Foley, like, these moments, like Rey Mysterio, Undertaker, like, I watch them on TV and you don't think you're ever going to have those moments. And when you have those moments and you feel that moment, it's magical. It's just, I'll always remember these moments forever.
Okay, now, you mentioned The Undertaker. What was that like getting to know him backstage?
Oh, unreal for the fact that, one, he's The Undertaker. And then you hear them give you advice and to watch your work, and that's, to me, it's amazing. It's amazing. He's a person that has so much knowledge, and you respect completely.
Now, what matches did you have that that stick out to you?
Oh, matches that I love, definitely like Trish Stratus, like championship moments, like that's another thing that's like a big deal. Like, I say all these other, like, working with people, but winning the title for the first time, like, wow. But I loved working with Ashley Mazzara. My top 5 is Mickie James, Ashley Mazzara, the match for WrestleMania, Trish, Michelle McCool, and Beth Phoenix.
Okay. Now, what was that like being with Beth Phoenix and Trish Stratus in WWE?
Well, it's the same level as working with Gail, Kim, and Mickie James. Like, I guess I don't consider, like, Beth is incredible, but Mickey's just as incredible. Gail Kim is just as incredible. So I guess it's weird to say, like, Trish Stratus we've seen for years. I guess when I think of Beth, I'm like, oh. So I was like, she's incredible, but it's like Trish Stratus, you know what I mean? But it's breathtaking. These people that you love, you grew up with, they're your family and your friends, and to be able to make magic with them is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, well, is there anything else you'd like to add or plug at all, anything? Or?
No, I mean, I always want to talk to people whenever I get a chance. So when I go to conventions, I want to see everybody before like I stop doing the wrestling circuit. But I just always want to tell people thank you for all these years of being a fan, or even if you weren't a fan and you hated me, like I still appreciate everything because that's what we do. We tell a story whether you love or hate us. And thank you for being there. Thank you for loving wrestling because that's what it's all about. It's about the love of wrestling.
Awesome, and thanks for doing this interview. Hey, this is Alan Fenstermaker here with Pro Wrestling Archives. Would you care to introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Hollywood from the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
Awesome.
The original Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. We don't want to get it mixed up with Glow Netflix.
Okay. Now, what do you think with the whole women's revolution in wrestling these days?
I think it's wonderful. First off, I always think if you didn't have Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, you may not have that. And we never can forget their legends, you know, the Mooahs and Penny Banners. So I always give thanks to the legends that were before us. But I think that they're doing a fabulous job. Their athleticism is better. It's really good.
Okay. Now, what do you think of the direction that wrestling is going in these days?
I'm not a huge fan, so you're asking me a question, I'm being honest. But what I see is these girls are such athletes. I think it's going in the right direction, and I'm loving to see that we're seeing different heights and different weights and different physiques. And so that to me is really important, that it's not all TNA looking.
Okay.
So that I love.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what gave you the inspiration to get started in wrestling?
Oh boy, so that's a long time ago. There's going to be a big panel, but I'll tell you quickly, it was just an interview, audition. I went down to this. I was not a wrestler. None of the girls were. David McLean was there asking us, this show's going to be about women's wrestling. Who's interested? Raised my hand, went in. Mondo Guerrero was my trainer, was April's trainer, and they picked 12 of us. We did a pilot and did our show.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Now, thanks for doing the interview. Do you have anything you'd like to plug at all?
I would love to plug it. If you guys are interested, I have a Twitter, which is @GlowHollywood. We also have a wonderful cruise that's coming up. That cruise is September 7th through the 14th, if anybody is interested. OriginalGlowGirls.com. Come and cruise with the Glow Girls.
Alan Fenstermaker here with Pro Wrestling Archives. I'm here with the People's Tramp, Felicia Rose. How are you doing today, Felicia?
I'm good. Clearly care about what I look like more than anything else, obviously. How are you today?
Yeah, doing pretty good, and you look great, by the way.
Oh, thanks. I feel like it's just hot in here, you know?
Awesome. Now, how'd you get your start in the wrestling business?
I accidentally did. So I held up a sign that said something naughty, and it accidentally got attention. And then I just kind of kept going with it, and then eventually one of my friends was like, hey, you should manage. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. And now it's been a year.
Okay. Now, who all have you managed?
I've managed J. George, Ron Simmons, Steve Mack, Magic, the Rockstar, Nick Sullivan, and hopefully soon Mike Skyros.
Okay. Now, like, any highlights individual of your career that stick out to you that you had in the last year?
Rich Swann spinning me around when I did ring announcing for CZW was pretty cool, and Ron Simmons damning me.
Okay.
Damning me. That sounds funny, but you know, he gave me the damn, so.
Okay. Yeah, that must have been pretty cool working with Ron Simmons. Anything you'd like to share about that at all?
Well, that was just a brief one, but working with Val Venus was really fun too.
Nice.
Because we got to do a little spot in the ring, like, you know, a shout out to the Jenna Jameson spot, and that was really fun. So,
okay.
yeah,
Cool.
and I got to cut a promo on my pussy, so,
Okay.
you know.
There you go.
I don't have a video of it though, it's kind of a bummer.
Now, like, what do you have here that you're...
I have 8x10s and t-shirts and kiss cards and tit splitzes and other stuff, I guess. But I mostly have my naughty t-shirts, which are basically just to play on other t-shirts and whatnot.
Okay, that's cool. Now, like, how did you get your inspirations at all? Do you have anybody in the past that you look up to, or?
Sensational Sherry. I look up to a lot of people, but I'd say that I look up to figuring out, I need to find my own voice. I need to, like, you know, find my own groove. Because when I like try to do other people's and, you know, impersonations and stuff, it's just like, nah, I need to have a little Felicia in there, you know?
Okay, that's cool. Now, anything you hope to accomplish in the future at all, or?
yeah, I want to get to as many different locations as possible and manage people and have fun and cut more promos. Like I cut a jerk off instruction promo video the other day as a joke, but it was pretty good.
Nice.
I was proud of myself.
Okay. Now, do you have anything else you'd like to plug or add at all? Or?
My Instagram is People's Tramp, my Twitter is Felicia Rose, and my podcast is The Screw.
Okay, now, like, where can people watch your podcast at anyways?
Everywhere. You can't watch it, though. You have to listen to it.
Yeah,
but also, I'm here with the 3 Count Thursday table, and you guys should definitely listen to them. They feature all women wrestlers or workers on their podcast, and they're amazing, so definitely give them a listen as well.
Yeah,
I've been on it a couple times now.
Okay,
so.
cool. Thank you, and thanks for doing this interview. Yo, this is Alan Fenstermaker here with Pro Wrestling Archives. I'm here with Despina Mantagas. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for doing this interview. Now, like, what are some of the highlights of your career that you have?
Well, I mean, it was all amazing. It was a short run, but it was amazing. And I could say that initially going to Japan and, literally after coming out of training for about 8 months and then going to Japan and totally getting my butt kicked, it was a great experience. I mean, it was awesome because the girls were good. They were good wrestlers, and it just showed the caliber of what's out there. So that was awesome.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, like, what was it? Yeah, what were some of your inspirations to become a pro wrestler?
Inspirations? Honestly, I wasn't really a wrestling fan. I was an athlete, went into a slump while I was playing golf, and I said, you know what, there's got to be an easier sport than this. So the sport that I chose was wrestling, and it was one of the hardest things I ever did. I mean, the training was, 2 times a day, morning, going and taking a nap, rolling out of bed for the evening training, and then working at night. But it was very, very grueling, and I have a lot of respect for the wrestlers now. Yes.
Now, do you have any, what do you think of the women's division these days with the whole women's revolution coming up?
I think it's amazing. I mean, women are good workers. They're good wrestlers, and they deserve to have, all the publicity and, just be pushed in the business, because I remember back in the day I would have matches with, like, for example, I would work for Bob Geigel in Kansas City, and I was wrestling with Debbie Combs, and we would out wrestle the guys. Like, they would be so mad at us that they would have to follow our matches. So, not that we were so great, but we did good. We had good matches and bad matches, but we did really good sometimes. So I think the girls, as long as they're trained properly, I think, it's awesome what's going on. Yeah, the exposure. And I got to say one more thing. Another good experience was in Kansas City, Kansas, in a dressing room. That's where I met my husband, Tarzan Goto. So out of that, we're not married now, but still, out of that, I have 3 wonderful sons, and that was like the best thing, Yeah.
And now, what was that like raising sons and also being in the wrestling business? I know with all the traveling involved.
Well, I actually lived in Japan for the 7 years that I was raising my children, and I wrestled a little bit for FMW, and then I went to the all-girls wrestling organization, and I said, I want to work, and they said, first of all, aren't you married? How old are you? And don't you have children? So the message was loud and clear: stay home and take care of your family, and that's pretty much what I did, And I worked a little bit here and there. My ex-husband and I, we had the first mixed tag match in Japan, so it was awesome.
Yeah. Now, how would you describe your experience in Japan overall?
Oh my God, I loved it. It was awesome. It was like, the people are fabulous. The food was awesome. I loved everything about it. It taught me a lot. Yeah. And I also learned the friends that I had, even though they were Japanese and I'm American, it was like we didn't have many differences. We were very similar in the way that we thought, about raising our children and about marriage and everything. So it was a good experience. Yeah. It was great.
Now, any advice would you give to anybody trying to get into the wrestling business these days on what you would recommend?
I would say just, if you have a dream, follow your dream, follow your heart, never give up. And then sometimes when the road changes, or like just say you hit a brick wall, don't be discouraged. give it up for a minute, turn around and walk the other direction. You might have like 3, 4, 5, 100 doors that open for you. So that's what I would say. Yeah, so don't give up.
Anything else you'd like to add at all, or?
I just, thank you for having me, and I'm just happy to be here. I haven't done anything with wrestling in 35 years. Actually, it was 34 years a year ago that I went to the CAC convention because Malaya was able to raise funds to bring all the girls in, and that was amazing, So it inspired me for many things. So I'm working on things now. Social media is one. I'm an auntie, so that stuff kind of makes me nervous, but I want to get out there. Is it all done? Oh, so yeah, and I just want to get out there and start doing something to promote, to help basically the veterans of the business that weren't treated so well by Moolah. Let's finish with that, because that was a horrible thing the way that she was, but that's just the entertainment world, and people take advantage of their talent. Yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just trying to like I said, get out there. I really want to write a book like most people do, but and I have my own ideas about it, so we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, definitely look forward to reading your book now. Like, when are you expecting to release that?
I've just been, typing notes in here, typing notes on my phone. So it's a process, I got to raise funds so I can have the time to go do the things I want to do to reach the people I want to reach. I know I could do it on the phone, but I have some really good ideas. So if everything falls into place maybe within a year. So, it's even finding the right people that will help me to understand that, So it's a process. Rome wasn't built in a day, and it's something I think that really honestly God planted a seed with me with the CAC convention. A lot of really good ideas. They're all on paper. A year later, I really haven't done anything with it, but it's time. It's time to rock and roll. I think by being at these events, I was at one last week too, after a year of being at the CAC, and I think just being here, it sparked.
Yo, this is the Fence Man here with this week's Top Rope TV Fence Man exclusive. I'm here with Molly Holly.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Okay, now Molly, this is an awesome seminar, by the way, and thank you for coming up here, and thanks to Joey Bellini with Warriors of Wrestling for having her. Now, first off, what was it like working for WCW and the Team Madness angle with Macho Man and Medusa?
Well, it was a great experience for me to go from the indies, working in front of 20 people, to be on Nitro during the hottest time when wrestling, the Monday Night Wars were happening. And so for me, it was awesome to be with the people that I used to watch on television as a child, to be in the ring with them. It was surreal to actually be a part of that experience. I loved it. It was definitely one of the highlights, just to go from minor leagues to being in the main event.
Very cool. And you've been quoted as saying that your angle in WWE with Spike Dudley has been one of the biggest highlights of your career. What made that so?
Well, to be a part of a storyline that fans can connect with, or to look forward to what's going to happen next, that makes the job so worth it, because it's one thing to have a match where you're responsible for entertaining the fans with that, but when there's a story attached to it, you can draw so much more emotion out of the fans and out of yourself to really put on a good show, and so that's why I love that time with Spike.
Okay. Thank you. Now, when the WWF became WWE, you underwent a huge transformation, not just gimmick, but look as well. What was it brought on by changes in WWE that you began to think it was time for something different?
Well, they just needed a heel, and so they just told me to be a heel, and then they didn't really know what kind. And Ivory was super popular with the right to censor, so I was just kind of like a knockoff version of the Ivory's right to censor type of gimmick as a heel, and it worked for me. It was okay. I didn't really enjoy being a heel, but the transformation was just because Jazz had hurt her knee and they needed a heel, and so they just asked me if I would do it, and I did.
Okay. Thank you. And then you've appeared very sporadically for various independent companies and for WWE. what made you decide to enter into the very first women's Royal Rumble match?
Well, I got the call from Talent Relations a couple of months before the Rumble, and they just asked me if I wanted to. And I told them I wasn't sure because I didn't want to disappoint the fans. Like, I haven't really done any in-ring stuff for a really long time. I mean, over 10 years. And so I just was worried that I was going to disappoint. And so I was like, I don't know if I should. And they assured me that, you know, I'd be able to practice and that everything would be fine. And so I agreed to do it. And I'm glad I did. It was really fun to catch up with old friends.
Very cool. And now, will you be working any more on-screen events with WWE in the future?
If they offer me a lot of money, the answer is yes. It's possible. I mean, I have no idea if they're calling me back to do stuff, but I'm always flattered when they remember me or ask me to do something. And so if they call me and if it's something I feel like I can pull off, then I'll probably say yes.
Okay. Very cool. And now, what are your thoughts on Beth Phoenix? I know you and her have had a friendship with each other in the indie circuit. Now, would you like to talk about your friendship with Beth Phoenix at all?
Well, I really never worked with Beth full time. Like, she was a fan, and she came and met me at some WWE fan access type of thing. And I really liked her, and she gave me a VHS tape, and she told me she was a pro wrestler. I watched it. I thought she was good. I helped her with her tryouts and everything. But we never, like, hung out on the indies. And really, I had left the WWE about the time that she had started. So we never really worked together. But during the time that she was trying to make it, I knew she was going to be good. And so I did my best to try to help her at least put her best foot forward, even though she already had the talent, and she might have made it regardless of me. But I just saw something special in her, and so, like I said, we didn't really like hang out a bunch, but I just knew that she was super talented and that she deserved to be a women's champion.
Okay. Now, also, I was watching a video on YouTube on Gorgeous George, and she mentioned you in the video. Now, like, have you ever worked with Gorgeous George or had any experience with her?
Well, it was actually because of Gorgeous George that I got my big break in WCW. She asked Macho Man if I could be a part of their entourage on television, and he said yes. So I taught her the wrestling moves that helped her in her match against Charles Robinson at one of the WCW pay-per-views. And even though she's wild and crazy, I really enjoyed her friendship and working with her.
Okay. Now, also here's another question. I was also watching on YouTube as well about Substance Church. I was doing some research on you and your career since I know I'd be coming out here. I know personally I'm a Christian myself, and I have a strong belief in Jesus Christ and growing in my spirituality every day. Now, I saw you were talking about going to Substance Church. Now, could you tell the fans like what faith you identify with and how does it affect your role being in the wrestling business?
Yeah, so I'm like super into Jesus. I guess that's my affiliation, is that I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. As far as like my church style, it's not super traditional, but we go to the Bible for truth, and we believe in God's love and forgiveness, and yeah, so that's like, I'm kind of disassociated from like the wrestling tribe these days, and I definitely feel like my tribe is with other believers in Christ that want to make the world a better place, that want to the steward the gifts that God has given us, the way that God has poured love onto us, like we want to pour love onto others. And so any group of people that love the Lord and really want to share that love by really loving our neighbors, like that's my tribe, and like who I love, who like energizes me now, I guess.
Okay. Because I know, like, especially in the last 6 months, I'm actually in recovery from alcoholism, and that's what actually one thing that led me to my high spiritual awakening like I have. And I know, like, I feel my spirituality is stronger than ever, and it's just important that how Jesus Christ played a role in my life, and it's just very encouraging to know the same for you too, that the Lord is out there and how powerful God is, and like God could do anything at any time, and God could has a plan for everybody in his life. Now, do you have anything else you'd like to add at all? Or
I think that about wraps it up, but thanks for having me.
okay. Now that was Molly Holly or Nora Benshoof here on Top Rope TV. Thanks for watching, and see you later. Back to you, Ken.
This is Marvelous Mike Dalton here, and right now I have with me the Daughter of Death.
Hi.
Welcome.
So I've watched Gaby throughout the years. She's a pretty girl. She's got a lot of talent, been on ROH. But for one thing that she doesn't know is I come from a bloodline of people that beat people down. I come from Rikishi, the Wild Samoans, Samu. She can't compare to me.
Just want to know, how long have you been doing this?
So wrestling, just about over a year. I've been in the business for about 3.
Well, how do you like it so far?
I'm definitely loving it. I had a couple setbacks in the past few years, but I think now my career is going on to a sky high.
That's some pretty awesome stuff. Any memorable matches or any opponents that you like beating up?
I would have to say my favorite was Riley Crow. Back when I first started, she was just an easy beat down because she's just trash.
Well, you know what? It's been a pleasure and an honor to have you here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And this is Marvelous Mike Dalton, the Daughter of Death. Thanks for tuning in.